Hey legends, it's Cam here from Echoes of the Pit for Headbangers Australia. Now, born out of frustration in 2020, Newcastle's Plague Dweller have rapidly carved themselves a unique and brutal niche as one of the most fierce and exciting underground acts within Australia's extreme metal landscape, cementing their reputation with their 2024 debut album, Devoured by the Cosmic Void, a relentless and technically sharp release steeped in mythology and damnation. The record marked Plague Dweller as a band with both vision and teeth. Now with a new album on the horizon and a stack of shows locked in for 2026, including the monstrous support of US tech death titans Allegiance in Sydney this March, I am absolutely stoked to have been joined in the pit today by Plague Dweller's menacing frontman and all-round dead set legend Luke Winchester to talk about Plague Dweller's journey so far, the creative process and progress with the new album, and what lies beyond the void. We are here with Luke, the absolute powerhouse vocalist from Plague Dweller. How are you, legend?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that intro. That's really sweet. Yeah, look, I probably as a death metal vocalist, I shouldn't be smiling so much, but I guess all of the anger comes out in the record and the live shows. So I'm always just such a goofy big silly boy. So yeah, thank you very much for having me. And yeah, keen as.
It's a lot of fun, and Plague Dweller are absolutely smashing it at the moment, which is really, really exciting to see. And well, like I said, it started as a project born out of frustration. And now with Devoured by the Cosmic Void out for a little while now, how do you feel that it's connected with people?
Look, it's so interesting because like I had such high expectations of how it would be seen by the world. Because I knew the songs were so good. Donovan, our guitarist, the guy that I started the band with in like 2020, the frustration was that I was in a band that was not active and he was kind of a hired gun. So he was just slinging guitar for like bands and stuff like that. And I wanted to do something a little bit more extreme, a little bit more active. So we're like playing more shows and putting out albums and being as connected with our community as possible and things like that, and less like just playing the same place all the time, which my previous band, and I'm still in that band, but we kind of just always played the same places and stuff like that. And so yeah, when we started putting these songs together, I was like, this is going to change the world. And
Yeah.
that is just such a ridiculous thing to come out of my mouth because we're just like a couple of blokes from Newcastle, um, but we knew that we had something special, and the now looking back on it, I can see that people are starting to take notice. We are getting offered more things. We've got that Allegiant show coming up on March 7th, which, fun fact as well, Donovan's first death metal record ever was an Allegiant record.
Ah, there
Like
you go.
I called him when we got the slot, and he was like, holy fuck, man, like this is like a full circle moment. Like I cannot actually believe we get to play with these guys like 2 hours down the road from our hometown kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think like ultimately the reception has been what it should have been. People really love the record. People have been reacting really well live. So many people when I walk off stage completely sweaty, makeup in my eyes, like people will just walk up to me and be like, "Man, that was insane! Like that's so crazy. You guys sound like the Black Dahlia Murder," and that's one of the highest compliments to us because
Yeah.
like they're a huge influence, and Trevor is like one of my heroes. So like to hear that is just so special.
Yeah, absolutely. And well deserved as well.
Thank
So
you.
speaking on the album a little bit more, it's sort of the narrative is centered around sort of a doomed soul's descent, and meeting these characters and things throughout their journey. And it has, like you said, really struck a chord with listeners. How important was the concept and the development of the concept throughout the writing
I
for
think
you and the band?
I think retroactively, I feel like I painted myself into a corner with a concept like first out the gate.
Yeah.
Coming into the second record, which we're demoing at the moment and I'm writing lyrics for, I've intentionally tried not to do that again. There thematically, like there are some things that will touch on very similar things throughout tracks in the next album.
Hmm.
But I feel like the everything tied in so well. So the name of the band, the name of the album, the concept of the characters within the album really
Hmm.
all kind of tied together. As you said, it was about a character who was doomed to hell. The ultimate goal was for them to find the grave of Lucifer within the gates of hell to then be redeemed and return to Earth to their loved ones.
Yeah.
Which is like so nerdy and so like wanky, but I love shit like that.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by like horror movies, classic horror movies like Fulci, like Italian Giallo and stuff like that, and like the Gates of Hell trilogy is like really something that like I've seen a million times. And then there's a movie called What Dreams May Come. So like there are these like films where I'm like, if I can capture what I'm seeing and feeling into lyrics on an album, that would be my job done. And I feel like we really did that. And the characters kind of came late, like the concept of the characters kind of came later, where I was like, okay, I'm writing about this one person. It would make sense for the narrative points to be as the journey goes along, they're going to like run into different characters that will then open up the space for them to be able to like, go on the hero's journey and get to where they need to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are quite the storyteller. I tell you what, like some people watching this will know that, but you and I go way back. I know you
Hmm.
well, and you are quite the storyteller. It's amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, and as you mentioned, you are now moving forward into writing the next album. And you mentioned so we're not taking on quite such a strong theme or concept throughout this one. Can you tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about how that's going and the process you guys are taking?
Look, I will tell you, um, and I say this with all the respect in the world to Donovan, but fuck that guy. He's writing some absolute rippers. Like, I don't know what's happened over the last 6 months to him, but the songs that are coming through at the moment are like, they are so vicious and so brutal, but so like beautifully put together. And like, there are melodic breaks that I'm like, this sounds like something off like, Merciful Fate records and stuff like that. And like, but then the next breath is like, it sounds like Archspire. So like, it's
Yeah.
this beautiful balance. And so like, me taking off the shackles of like having like a set storyline has actually been a little bit more difficult, but I'm up to the challenge because I know that Donovan is pushing everyone in the band because he is such an incredible guitarist, and he's like, I would say humbly is one of the best guitarists in Australia.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess the idea behind this next album is, I had an idea because like I suffer or have suffered and some a little bit recently, with sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing a song for the first record, about that, and then I was like, okay, so conceptually that won't actually like work really. So like what I'll do is I'll park a lot of those lyrics and I'll work on something later. And so that then got me thinking, as I said previously, I'm a big horror movie fan. I own thousands of horror movies. I literally watch horror movies every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so let's drill down into the psychology of like why I love horror movies, but I have sleep paralysis and I have anxiety and I have all this stuff going on. Yet I still feel so calm when I watch some mass killer slaughter a bunch of people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like conceptually, I think that on a kind of really loose level, the album's going to be about fears. So about things that people are scared of, whether it's things that go bump in the night or it's global shit that's going on at any given time. Every time everyone opens their phone, there's something different that they look at and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that. It feels like the end of the world kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I guess that writing this record is kind of my way of like facing myself and the way that I interact with the world. And hopefully, like, other people can see that and connect with that. And or they might not, they might just go, you know what, that's a sick riff, fucking oath.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's still connection there on both levels, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, most or more on the on that sort of deeper level. The fear at the moment in particular is quite a shared experience on all sorts of levels, regardless of where it's coming from.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think like, I don't talk about politics a lot
mm,
anymore. I did for a while and I was very, very outspoken. And then I decided, you know what? No one needs another white boy talking shit online. So I just kind of like stepped back from that. However, I believe that regardless of where you stand politically, everyone is terrified at the moment, I think.
yeah, there's a lot happening in the world,
Mhm.
all over the place. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's very fair.
Yeah.
And now, moving forward to something a lot more exciting, you have a couple of big shows locked in and coming up. Tell us all about it.
Well, look, it always happens around December. I look at our calendar. So like I basically manage the band. So I do a lot of the bookings, set up or, interviews, whatever we need to do when it comes to this stuff. Some of the guys have taken, some of that off my shoulders a little bit, which is great. But I am also a bit of a control freak with a lot of that stuff. So I'm like, look, I'll just do it. And so December rolls around, or November, December rolls around, and I look at the year's calendar and I'm like, fuck, we've only got like one or two shows booked. I'm going to have to start working on some stuff. And between kind of this happened in 2024 as well. Between the end of November and the start of January, our calendar just filled up. So we currently have announced we've got March 7th with Allegiant and our friends Gossica from the South Coast. They're an incredible band from Australia. If you guys haven't heard them, I'm sure that you should go and check them out. They're on Grindhead Records. And then May the 2nd, we're going to be playing Shredfest in Brisbane
Mm,
with Mortal Sin, which is fucking
wild.
awesome, like so crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then to cap off our year, it's a really early announcement, but we're going to play Steel Assassins in Sydney. So we've been working with Dave Balfour for many years, like booking. I've booked shows with him, and he's booked us on now. He actually booked our first Sydney show, so like all the
Um,
props in the world. So, yeah, we'll be playing Steel Assassins, and then we have about five or six shows thereabouts that are not announced yet.
mhm.
Mainly, we're looking at regional shows. We're wanting to get to markets that we haven't been to before. Um, you know, we don't really care if we play to five people and a dog or 1,000 people. It doesn't really matter to us. Like we will play whatever we can. It's been a while since we've been to Canberra, so like we might work on something in that area as well. So like I think the last time we were there was like 2022 or something like that.
Mhm.
And then we're hoping to get back down to Melbourne, which I'll work on for the second half of the year. We had a very, very busy 2025, and as I always do, I'm always like, oh look, we'll slow down. But once I start working on things, I'm like, we can't slow down. We just have to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll be balancing sort of more writing for the new album as well as all of the shows, or are we moving into sort of recording as well? Where are we at in that?
So
A
so
lot,
base
both.
a bit of both. Like I essentially, from a musical standpoint, all of the riffs are written.
Nice.
Donovan, as I said, like it sounds like I'm G'ing him up too much, but like the dude is a absolute workhorse. He
Absolutely.
also he's a guitar teacher, so he's always got a guitar in his hand. Um, so essentially, he's got about like 10, maybe 12 songs done.
Hmm.
Drums have been programmed. The guys have actually gotten into a room and rehearsed some of those songs. So that was while I was on holiday. So they got in and hammered out some stuff. They don't really need me in there, kind of telling them what to do and shit like that. They're much more, able to take those reins. So yeah, essentially, in the next couple of weeks, we will be rehearsing. We should have some new songs ready for our shows that are coming up, which will be very exciting. And then I would say we'll start recording as soon as possible. Like
Yeah, awesome.
we would like to see a record out the tail end of this year. That would
Yeah.
be
Oh,
fantastic. Yeah, I when we started the band, I was like, we need to be putting out a record every 2 years, kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which which is sometimes quite the push, especially when you're starting to really start to rack up those live shows. Which and and the travel.
Mm,
Based obviously in Australia, the
mm.
travel is a huge consideration. It
That it is. Yep.
half a day between shows of traveling, at a minimum.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's awesome. And it's nice to hear that you're balancing a lot of these amazing big shows with these big names and city-based shows with wanting to sort of, head regionally as well. I think it's a really important space and a really fun space to be in, those regional shows. Uh,
Yeah. I
and
absolutely agree. Like I grew up on the Central Coast, so like PCYCs and like house shows were where I went to. So like I grew up in the hardcore scene. So like I've been kicked in the face more times than I can count at shows, but also like they were so important to you know I saw Parkway Drive on one of their first tours in a tiny little venue, and the Amity Affliction and bands like that, and like British band While She Sleeps came and played the Central Coast. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy that like people aren't hitting more regional towns, and like bands are starting to do it a little bit more. It's kind of a bit cyclical, but like I said, like it is important for us to honor the country that we have when it comes to our music scene, because like we do have an incredible music scene, and we do have a lot of incredible fans, a lot of intense fans, and people who are very outspoken about things, which is fine. But you know, I I love the idea of playing regional, and all the guys in the band are like, "Yep, we just want to play," essentially.
yeah, absolutely. And do you find that playing those shows, because I know you guys are very, very, and as we've mentioned, uh, you're an active band on stage, and you bring a lot of your concepts on stage and as a storyteller, bringing those on stage. Do you find that the live performances have evolved, or how would you describe the evolution of the band in a live setting? Because it really can help to shape and solidify the identity almost of a band when you're playing a lot of shows and developing that way.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, getting like we're not gig fit at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we go to play, we need to rehearse a lot. Like, well, when I say we, probably I need to rehearse a lot. Um, I think that, when we were kind of getting off the ground in 2020, we started rehearsing and stuff like that. And then obviously, the world shut down. So our first shows weren't kind of until tail end of 2021, I think, kind of thing, by the time we got everything rolling. And then our first guitarist left. So then we got Vaughn in. So Vaughn from Evocatus, amazing guy, absolute godsend for him to be in the band, because he actually recorded the whole first album and he's going to record the next album. So he's so talented. He did all the Evocatus records and stuff like that. So basically, that was a bit of a hurdle where we then had to learn how to play with another guy and like learn how to be on stage with that guy. And then we switched drummers. And we got Zach Swan, who was previously in Pure Envy, and like that band was a Newcastle staple for years and years and years. And I hounded Zach when we were first putting the band together. I was like, Zach, you got to come, dude. You got to come check this band out. Like, it's going to be so sick. He was like, no, 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 I got Pure Envy. And then the day that Pure Envy broke up, like before it was even announced, I found out and I messaged him and I was like, it was such a shit move. But look, I just said, hey man, like, what do you reckon?
Yeah,
And
go.
he was like, look, it's not even announced yet, bro. Like, well, give me a minute. And then we ended up playing their last show. And as we were walking off stage, we played with a drum machine. We walked off stage and I said, what do you reckon? And Zach went, yep, I'm in. And so like that kind of then we had to learn how to play with him, and like these kind of like evolutions of getting new members and things like that. The has been a process of solidifying our live show, and
Mm.
all of the guys in the band, including Davey, who's our newest member, the bass player. I've played with him in other bands like Chambers of Insanity, and I'm in a new band with him as well. We're doing like a doom band as just a fun project because like I don't have enough going on. Um, so yeah, kind of like making sure that we understand that there is a relationship with that live show. So when we're in the rehearsal studio, we're not we're not pantomiming, we're not like standing there like we're playing to a crowd or anything like that, but we understand that there's a difference between being in the rehearsal studio and on stage where we are interacting with potential fans or current fans or old friends and things like that. So it's definitely been a huge learning curve for a lot of us. As you can tell by this interview, I like to talk and I talk a lot. So the guys have gotten really good at shutting me up by
Yeah,
playing a bit of music over when I'm speaking, so then I know when to go.
yeah, you got the cue.
I got the cue. Yep. And I think also because I'm such a thematic, dramatic kind of person, like that kind of on stage persona comes out of me like that.
Mm,
And I think the guys have kind of grabbed onto that and like, followed along and stuff like that. So like, it's fantastic to see as I am in the band, but I'm also a fan of the band. So when I see footage back, I'm like, holy fuck, these guys are so good. Like, look at how
yeah,
cool they look. Like, they look so cool and they're playing so well. And like, so, yeah, I've even had moments where like we've played 3 shows in a row where like the Friday night kind of sucked. The Saturday night was great. The Sunday night was like fucking killer. It's almost
yeah.
like we're getting that confidence like each time we're playing. So hoping to really like, bust some skulls and turn some heads this year.
Yeah, amazing.
With these big shows, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and very quickly back, and onto that sort of evolution for you yourself, and vocally, obviously as the vocalist. How do you find, or are you exploring any sort of new textures, genres, influences coming into the new album, or even based coming from all the live shows, which again
Mm,
is development in itself.
absolutely. Yeah. I feel most confident when it comes to my vocals when I'm on stage because
Mhm.
I know how to use the tricks of the microphone in the room.
Yep.
I know how to make that scream sound a little bit longer, a little bit higher, whatever. When I'm in a studio situation and Vaughn, recorded my vocals at his house,
Mhm.
when it's all stripped bare, I'm terrified. Even though
Yeah.
I know I have the confidence, but I'm also still like, what if I fuck it up? What if these guys have done all this work to like create this killer album
Yeah.
and I just like, phone it in? But to answer your question, I have been listening to a lot of Florence and the Machine,
Yeah.
and I've
Wow.
been singing along to that. Not to say that that's what the album's going to sound like, but
No.
for me as a vocalist, for me to like stretch my voice as much as I possibly can, um, I learned, over the last couple of years, obviously, like screaming, growling, death metal vocals, can be damaging to your voice if you don't do it correctly. So, like, I've been like, listening to podcasts and reading books and just kind of learning how to use my voice correctly.
Uh-huh.
Um, some of the guys in the band would like me to sing melodically on certain parts, not like huge, kill switch engage choruses or anything like
Yeah.
that, but more of a, like Fallujah or the Faceless. They kind of use those kind of like layered, melodic vocals, and I'm not comfortable with that mainly because not comfortable is probably not the right word. I want my death metal to be death metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if it is melodic death metal, I don't necessarily want a, a chorus to come in and maybe change the outcome of the song. So that's a bit of a back and forth with the band and I, especially Davey, our bass player. He gets me when I've had a couple of beers, and he's like, "No, you should sing. You're one of your favorite singers is Danzig. Just sing like him." And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So yeah, look, I am also really, really influenced by one of the hottest bands in the world right now, Lorna Shore. Will Ramos has, I think he's fucked it for the rest of us in a way, where he's kind of gone, you know what? I'm gonna show you how to actually do all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
then you guys can catch up to me, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's done it arrogantly. But yeah, that record from last year was absolutely incredible. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, fuck, maybe I could try and do something like that.
Yeah.
And then I try it and I suck at it. And so I stop doing it. I'm like, if I'm not good at it immediately, I don't want to know about it.
I know it well. I know it well. But yeah, absolutely. With the influences of or what Lorna Shaw and Will have been putting out, yeah, absolutely setting that buddy bar high. But I love to hear the fact that, as a vocalist, pulling those influences, those techniques, that expansion in your voice well beyond the genre that you're obviously currently playing in
Mm.
is such an important part of developing as a vocalist. And like you say, and that's really cool. I'm really excited knowing you as a musician personally as well. I'm actually really, really excited to see what where you will be, particularly when the new album comes out,
Mm.
and how that's all going to be happening. That's really cool. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited to put the record out.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play some shows. Like, we haven't played since October last year, and it's now, we're at the end of January, so like I'm starting to get the itch,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to rip off some heads for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've got obviously your support slots and then festival slots. Do you have a preference on, because obviously, gigs and then festivals are a completely different beast, there's pros and cons to both. As a band that is so intense, and and you communicate, the lyrics, the concepts through in your stage performance as well. Is there a preference for you or the band as a whole?
As a whole, not really. Like we genuinely are just down for the game. Like we
Yeah.
just want to play. Like if we're available and we're all like mentally sane enough to like do the thing, we will
Yeah.
get on a stage. We played Thrashville last year, and that was one of the biggest crowds that we've ever played to. And then, like a couple of weeks later, we played at Elton Chong's, and we played in front of 5 people, but we had the same level of intensity at both shows. Like it doesn't matter to me. I want to see people's eyes. I want to be in people's faces. I want to be like, because I'm 6'2" and a giant man as well, terrifying, and I do the makeup and the garb and stuff like that. I want it to be a safe but terrifying experience. That's what I would like. So, but also I'm just happy to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key moments for me looking back where that I remember you in your element would have been Nowhere Fest in Brisbane, and the
Hmm.
group, whole family of kiddos,
Yep.
and I remember looking through the crowd over, like, when you were doing your thing. And even afterwards, I was so excited, and you were just beaming. And it
Mm.
wasn't about recognition. You were just that connection and the vibing and just loving it. And it was really cool. It was really nice to see.
Yeah, I think that, and I don't want to get too esoteric or like, lovey-dovey in my feelings. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, when it comes to this art form, it's not about numbers. It
Mm.
never will be about numbers. Like, we don't give a shit about likes on Facebook or Spotify, whatever. Like, if we sell 10 shirts a year or whatever, or we play a couple of shows, but it's about that connection of like people coming up to the merch and being like, holy fuck, like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe that I need an album. I need a shirt. Like that connection, that community. That's why I do it personally.
Mm.
And I know that the guys in the band feel the same way. Like it's either this or we lose our minds. And especially myself as being a crazy person. Like if I didn't have this outlet, I would have walked into the ocean long ago.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I completely feel that as well.
Mhm.
Um, so basically, we're sort of coming to the end of it all, but with the momentum building into what's looking like it's shaping up another really big year for you guys.
Mm.
Um, where where do you see you guys heading ultimately? What's the dream there, other than obviously, as we've spoken, the connection and the community.
Mm.
I know that's very important, but what's the dream, the big goals?
The big goals, look, we feel like we've ticked off a lot of boxes on the first record.
Yeah.
Um, we were able to work with Keith Merrow for the mixing and mastering. He's a guy that has been around for ages. He's worked with people from Nevermore and Cannibal Corpse and things like that. Um, Sam, who did our artwork, is an incredible artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like these little personal things are really important to us. So ticking those boxes. So I think where I see the band, and I won't speak for the guys because I know that they're like, I want to quit my job and I want to go on tour.
Yeah.
I do want that as well, but I know how. Like, I'm realistic about it.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want to keep making connections with people within the music scene, people who are fans, people who are artists. I want to play with like-minded people, like-minded bands, and even like people who aren't like-minded. I want to have conversations with people and like really kind of break down barriers between like genres. I fucking love a mixed bill. We play as many mixed bills as we possibly can. So like, yeah, the ultimate goal is just to sustain what we're doing, not ever let it like become like a fucking chore. We just want it to be joyous and heavy and evil, and we want to kick your ass, basically.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Luke. It has been a bloody pleasure chatting to
Mm,
you guys. As you know, I am a Plague Dweller fan. We're in the same scene, the same community together,
mhm,
and it's amazing to to be able to chat to you on these platforms like this. And you and I are very similar in the way that we believe we lift each other up and our whole scene rises.
mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
very, very a cool thing. So it's awesome to be able to have you here and have a chat with you. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
I hope to see everyone at a Legion in
Yeah.
Sydney on March 7th. It's the day before my birthday, so everyone has to come and buy me a beer after we play.
Yeah.
After we play, because
With
like
the 4 beers too.
no before beers after we play. But yeah, look, I appreciate you having me on, and it's been a pleasure catching up. I know that we don't get to see each other as often, but I'm sure I'll see you at shows and stuff like that. And if anyone sees me at any shows in Newcastle or Sydney or anything like that, come up and say hello. I'm always down for a chat, always happy to talk about bands and stuff like that. So yeah,
100%. The friendliest giant you'll find in a pit. I tell you, this guy.
yeah, absolutely. That's me.
Oh, thank you again so much, Luke. You're an absolute bloody legend, and I'm so excited for the momentum with Plague Dweller and what's happening with you guys. The show's coming up, the new album. I'm just I got you. Like it's
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you and wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Catch ya.
Bye.